You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host Nesbit. 200 episodes since July of 2020 without missing a Friday. No signs of slowing down. We got lots to talk about, so let's get into it. So, 200 episodes of the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Almost 4 years we've been doing this. And I did a clip show at 100 episodes, kind of a best of. And I did a year in review show at the end of 2023. So I didn't really want to repeat that. So for the 200th episode, I wasn't really sure what to do. So basically, I'm just going to play whatever I want. No real plan, no real theme. I've been having an absolute blast doing this podcast for about 4 years, and I'm just going to play all my favorite clips, some of my favorite tracks, talk about some upcoming stuff we have for future episodes. I have a lot of previously unheard clips and tracks I'm going to play, including a cool 20-minute Night Demon instrumental, and some audio that I just got my hands on that I didn't think existed until very recently. Basically, it's been 200 episodes, and I'm going to have some fun playing all kinds of stuff. So, full speed ahead. So, full speed ahead. I will try to make less puns and jokes based on Night Demon song names as this episode goes on. So about 4 years ago, we launched with our first episode number 1. It all happened. Me and Jarvis got together for a few beers in my shed, and I hit him up with the idea of a Night Demon podcast. And he didn't really know what to think. So I put together a 10-minute demo episode just to kind of show him what I was thinking as far as format. So I guess it's technically episode 0, I guess. It was kind of like a proof of concept. I basically took clips from interviews that the guys had done online, and I made this test episode to see what the guys in the band thought. And it's never been heard before until now. It's kind of rough and embarrassing to hear now, but here's a short clip of it. I'll edit this down to like a couple of minutes so you don't have to listen to the whole thing. But you can see like the concept is there, but we didn't have an intro. I didn't have a name for the podcast. This is kind of lame, but I don't know. I figure I'll let you guys hear it. All right, you are listening to the first episode of the official Night Demon podcast. I am your host, Nesbit, and this is the official podcast where you can get all the news, all the dirt, all the goings-on, straight from the band. If you're listening to this, you obviously already know Night Demon. I don't have to explain to you. how much they kick ass. This is going to be a lot of fun. For this first episode, we're going to talk about the single Empire's Fall.
Countdown, the end has begun. Gatekeeper's final stand. Slow down, what's inevitable? Down, run while you can. Turn a leg, let for them all. Watching as empires fall.
So Night Demon's last album, Darkness Remains, came out in April 2017. They put a live album out, Live Darkness, in August of 2018, but it had been 3 years since new Night Demon music had dropped. So April 3rd of 2020, this single just kind of dropped out of the blue. And I asked Jarvis, why no promotion, why no hyping these singles beforehand, like why just drop them out of the blue? When he was on a episode of my old podcast, the Talking Maiden podcast.
You know, my idea was, let's try and be a little bit different, and let's just roll the dice. And when we put stuff out this year, let's not tell anybody, not even the press.
The song itself, Empire's Fall, is about the collapse of the record industry. And I gotta say, Night Demon has some pretty cool cover art. This could be my favorite. You have their two band mascots, Eugene and Rocky, destroying the Capitol Records building. It's pretty cool. Here's Jarvis and Armand talking about the cover art.
The lyrics are about the downfall of the record industry, and the art kind of depicts that. Andrei Buzikov did the artwork for this, and he's a great artist. He hand paints everything.
Dude, he knocked it out of the park. It was like right away. We're like, yep, cool. I think all we told him was like, hey, can you add a few more people like running away, or like some record execs like running away from the buildings or something, and that was it, you know?
So into the track itself. The track starts off with a very cool drum fill from Dusty Squires.
And I was like, well, let's start out with like a cool drum fill or something with it. And I was like, all right. And then I have to like think about it, like, how can I come up with something that isn't generic or anything like that? Because it's only like for a 4 count.
Yes. You guys good with that?
I'm good.
Yeah, all right. Double bass sounds great. And plus you can hear the toms now. Before the double kick was like...
So yeah, that's Empire's Fall. That's the first episode of the Night Demon podcast, yet to be named. If you're hearing this is a test episode, so hopefully this will never go live. I'm looking forward to doing more episodes. This is really fun. Night Demon's a great band. And I think this song is just, I don't know how to describe it other than to say it's awesome.
Empire's Fall overall is a track that I'm personally really proud of. We haven't released any original music since April 2017. We've been doing so much touring since then. This touring cycle has just lasted forever, and we've been around the world 3 times on it. We've put out a live album in between to kind of buy us some more time, but it's time for some new music.
So that's episode 1 on Empire's Fall. Nesbit signing out for the official Night Demon podcast that's yet to be named. Man, it's weird to hear that without the normal intro music. And the whole thing's like 14 minutes long, I think. I cut that way down to a couple of minutes since we already did an episode on Empire's Fall later on. And it was kind of painful for me to listen to. I think I said that things kick ass and things are awesome like a dozen times in there. And I hope I still don't do that. So yeah, I just took audio from other sources and put that together. I had no isolated tracks, no demos yet for reference. I'll put the whole 14-minute thing in the bonus section for subscribers. Episode 0, previously unheard. So, yeah, and then I guess the guys liked it, and we went ahead with episode 1 of the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, the very first episode of the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Nesbit. This is going to be the place to get all the dirt, all the history, the complete Night Demon story. And for the first episode, I figured I'd tell you a bit about myself, and what better way than the song that got me into Night Demon, Made in Hell. So that was it. That was episode number 1, the true episode number 1, not the test unreleased episode 0. You can see I kind of kept the intro from that test episode, but the intro song is in place, and the name of the podcast we finally settled on, the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. It's funny though, the intro music for the podcast, we actually have an alternate version that we never went with. I'll play that for you now too, because that's something else that's never been heard before. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. The drums are a bit more intense. Maybe I'll use that in a future episode. Who knows? So a lot has happened in 4 years with the band. There's singles, the Year of the Demon compilation, the Outsider album, tours of North America, Europe, Japan, Mexico, and tours of Australia and China coming up. Over 150 live shows. Also multiple Night Demon beers and hot sauce. For me personally, one of the highlights was taking a trip to California. So it's over 4,500 miles or 7,000 kilometers from my hometown to Ventura, California. But I made the trip, spent some time in Night Demon HQ in Ventura, California, watched the guys record some yet unheard Night Demon music in Armand's studio, the captain's quarters. That was a tiny little preview. I'm not actually supposed to be playing that. But I got to see the guys record in Armand's studio. Checked out Ventura City Hall from the Darkness Remains album cover. Saw Night Demon headline a festival in San Diego, which is pretty amazing. And we have an episode on that coming your way soon. California was just one of those places I always wanted to go. And it was really cool for the guys to fly me out and show me around. Now, as a fan of a lot of the music that came out of LA in the 80s and the 90s, like Jane's Addiction, Guns N' Roses, that first Jane's Addiction album was one of my favorite albums when I was in high school. And that album was recorded live at the Roxy on the Sunset Strip in West Hollywood, California. So it was pretty amazing when Jarvis and the band invited me to see them play with Cirith Ungol at the Roxy with backstage access to that legendary venue. So I never thought growing up that I would ever be, next door having a few beers at the Rainbow Bar and Grill in Motley Crue's old booth, and then in the green room drinking a beer at the Roxy with a backstage pass to see a sold-out Cirith Ungol show. That was one of the best nights of my life being there. That was amazing. Lots more on that show also coming up in future episodes. And I recently made another trip to Ventura, California, 17-hour trip across the continent to California to see Night Demon open for Bruce Dickinson. So I'm a giant Iron Maiden fan, everybody knows. Being backstage for that show was an amazing experience. Seeing Bruce Dickinson warming up, sound checking in an empty venue. I got the chance to meet him, and like as a Maiden fan, like that kind of blew my mind having that access to see like what goes on backstage before Bruce puts off a show, hearing him do his vocal warm-ups and just like watching the band, getting ready. There's a lot more coming up in future episodes on that night too. Spoiler, Night Demon's opening set kicked ass and Bruce sounded amazing. But again, more coming up on that very soon on this podcast. Another highlight for me over the last 4 years was seeing Night Demon in my hometown of St. John's, Newfoundland, Canada. This is a clip from one of those shows. Now, I might be biased because it's my hometown, but I think this might be one of the best versions of Darkness Remains that I've heard.
All right, St. John's! Good to see all you motherfuckers tonight. It's been almost a whole year. We try to come back here every year, and you guys keep showing up. Someone told me that coming back here once a year is too much, that, it should be every other year because people from St. John's, that gets too old for them. Is that true? So if Night Demon comes back next year, will you guys show up? Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Anyway, guys, thanks again so much. It's been a real fucking pleasure. We've spent all week here, had a lot of different events, and St. John's a real special place for us, Close your windows, lock your doors, 'cause there's a full moon out tonight. Can you hear the howling cries of pain from the monster out for prey? And I was over yesterday. Yeah, and I knew my life would change. But I feel so all alone, trying to stop this on my own. The darkness remains.
So since this podcast started, I went from seeing Night Demon 0 times live to seeing them a bunch of times. So I saw them 4 times in my hometown of St. John's, Newfoundland. So the first show was September of 2019. The second show was September of 2022, and that was an amazing show. The guys let me pick out the set list, and I think I punished them a little bit with that one. It's a pretty intense kickoff to that show. Then August of 2023, they played 2 back-to-back shows here, one all ages and one regular show. That's where that version of Darkness Remains came from. They also played a third show when they were here. I don't know if that counts as a Night Demon show. They played as the Howling Men at a local skate park. They did a set of covers and one original. Kind of a short surprise set. They just kind of showed up. I don't know if you count that one or not. Then I saw them in, like I said earlier, in San Diego in October of 2023, and I recently saw them open for Bruce Dickinson in Santa Ana, California, April 15th, 2024. So living on an island off the east coast of Canada, I know I've talked to a bunch of people, and when I say Newfoundland or Eastern Canada, they think Maine. Where I live is almost 1,000 miles, not quite 1,000, but almost 1,000 miles east of Maine. So living out here and having a chance to see one of my all-time favorite bands from California in my hometown multiple times, and getting to fly out to the West Coast and see them in the studio and headlining festivals in California, it's been a pretty cool experience, all thanks to this podcast. So that was an unreleased, never before heard mix of Kill the Pain. So never heard anywhere before this. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, this is episode 200, and I'm just going to play whatever I feel like. And stuff like that are like real highlights for me. Having access to stuff like that. Another highlight of the show, the track breakdowns, like diving into and dissecting Night Demon tracks. Like having access to all the isolated tracks. You can highlight different aspects of the song that you might not usually notice. Bring stuff up in the mix, bring stuff down in the mix. And it's fun for me as a person making podcasts. That's one thing I really, really enjoy. So many cool parts in that song. That weird mix I just played was just me messing around, but like typically in an actual episode, I'll do that to illustrate something that one of the band members, mentions. But that one was just for fun, just messing around. Episode 200. I did love doing the Empire's Fall episodes. Getting to hear from Lars and Matt of Rancid was a real highlight for me.
Hey, it's Matt Freeman, bass player for Rancid and Charger. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Actually, the first time I heard Night Demon, my other band Charger was on a small, Southern California, Arizona run. And we were in the van, and Drew McGee, the guitarist, started playing it. And I'm like, what's this? He's like, dude, it's this band Night Demon. They're freaking rad. And I believe that was the Darkness from AIDS record, was the first one we heard. And I just really liked it. It was great. The songwriting was really great. The musicianship was really great. And so that whole Southern California trip was all things Night Demon constantly. So it was pretty fun. A little while later, I was talking to Lars Fredriksson of Rancid, and I just mentioned, I'm like, hey, have you heard of this band Night Demon? Drew played it for me. They're really good. I think you'd really like them. And he was like, oh, yeah, dude, I know all about them. They're freaking great. They're awesome. I met those guys at some show he went to, and he just loved them.
My name is Lars Fredriksson. I'm a guitar player and singer in the bands, Rancid, The Last Resort, The Old Firm Casuals, Lars Fredriksson and the Bastards, Oxley's Midnight Runners, Stomper 98. The first time I heard Night Demon, I think, was the Curse of the Damned record, if I'm not mistaken. So that was some years ago, and then I was able to check them out with when they played for Death Angel at some of the Christmas shows that they did here in San Francisco, where I live. My first impressions, I thought they were great. They're fun, old school metal stuff. They put a lot of energy out there, and very catchy and hooky, and just totally kind of fell in love with the band. Well, I got involved with the Night Demon guys because I got to know Jarvis a lot better, and he invited myself and Matt Freeman to come sing background vocals on a record, and had a really great time.
And then sometime later, I get this text from him, and it's like, hey, I talked to the Night Demon guy. He wants us to sing background vocals. I said we'd do it. I'll let you know when, which is very typical Lars. And so then sometime after that, Charger and Old Firm Casuals, Lars's band, was playing a show together, and it just worked out that Jarvis came up, and we ended up doing it that afternoon before the show because we were all together.
What? Again?
So we just went in and did it. It was a lot of fun, and I think it went pretty quick.
The great band, and it's just awesome to be part of, you know, their history and what they're doing. And I knew that we could sort of add something, and it was just kind of fun, you know. And me and Freeman have sung together for the last 30 years, so it came really easy for us, and we just had a really good time, and it's very fun.
That was one of my favorite episodes in the last 200. I forgot that song, Empire's Fall, was actually about astronauts for a while when they were first writing it.
Blast off, all systems go, shooting the light in the sky. Stand down, forget what is known, just the will to survive. Oh, rise up, answer the call. Oh, ready to burn for them all.
And looking through my files here, my demos, I see it was also called Legion's Attack for a while.
Never seen the day when we would hear you say, go away from this place. We have returned like never before. No precious time to waste. Oh, the Trojan armies won't hold us back. Oh, preparing the Legion's attack.
Anyway, hearing that one going from demo form to final recorded version was pretty cool. Another one of my favorite things about this podcast is access to all the demos. And, you know, you get the full history of every song and you can hear it, you know, sometimes from like a riff tape to, you know, you can see it take form or hear it take form from riff tape to the final Night Demon tracks that we know today. I'm going to sneak another demo in here. I really thought this one was cool. This is called Lizzie Demo. And it is a very early version of Are You Out There recorded by Armand. Huge Thin Lizzy influences on that demo. So lots more demos coming in future episodes. We're breaking down a lot more tracks. So stay tuned for that. Hey guys, Nesbit here. If you'd like to support Night Demon and this podcast, the best way to do it is to become a Night Demon subscriber. Not only will you be doing your part to support a true heavy metal band out there really living it, you'll also gain access to a ton of extras. Bonus audio content, a subscriber-only merch store with rare items from the band's archives. You can stream never-before-heard demos and unearth live concerts from the live vaults. Communicate with the other Night Demon diehards on an exclusive subscriber forum, and gain early access to all press releases, album pre-orders, new merchandise, and a ton more. And another thing that I think is pretty cool is Night Demon will be donating 10% of every subscription fee to the Metal Cares Foundation, which is a charitable fund the band started in 2014 to aid those in our metal community. So head over to nightdemon.net/subscriber and join us as we make heavy metal history together as one. And on a side note, I'll personally think you're a grade A badass. So I mentioned this earlier. So everyone is familiar with the Year of the Demon compilation. Well, the original plan for that album was to release the singles from 2020 as side A of the album. So that would be Empire's Fall, Kill the Pain, Are You Out There, Wisteria, and In Trance. So the music that was released as those 7-inch singles from 2020 would be compiled into side A of the Year of the Demon album. For side B, Night Demon composed a 20-minute, 20-second long track, all one piece of continuous music, that would become side B of the Year of the Demon album. Sort of like Rush 2112, where you have like one side's like this epic concept, and the other side's, some collected unrelated songs. Well, plans changed, and the Year of the Demon album became a full compilation, including the B-sides of the 2020 singles, which was kind of cool if you didn't manage to collect all the 7-inch vinyls, since that was the only place you could hear the B-sides. So I think they made the right choice there. But that epic piece of music that was, going to be a side of that album, it was used as part of the Outsider album when they added a bunch of new songs.
Half of the record was originally written at the time leading up to the singles. And the original idea was to use that as a B-side to the record. It was basically like a 20-minute opus sort of thing. And that was going to be, we made it exactly 20 minutes and 20 seconds for 2020. And originally we were going to take the A-sides, all the singles that we put out, and that was going to be the A-side of the record, and then the B-side was going to be this new sort of, continuous piece of music that we had written. So as things change and time goes on, we discussed and we decided to save that piece of music and then write another 4 or so songs to flesh that out into a whole new album.
So whatever happened to that epic piece of 20-minute and 20-second music? Well, I'm going to play it for you now, and you'll recognize parts of it from the Outsider album. But to hear it like this I think it's extremely cool. How it went from this big chunk of music to become what it became it's a pretty cool story. So here, for the first time ever played publicly, is that piece of music that was written originally as a single side for the Year of the Demon album. So that was it. That was the unused piece of music that was originally going to be a side of the Year of the Demon album. And that's also it for this episode 200. We're kind of all over the place on this one, but it was fun to do one like that. Had no real plan. It was cool to actually be able to pull some of the things out of the archive after 4 years of doing the podcast. So hope you enjoyed this one. Lots of episodes in the works for the next 100 episodes. So thanks for listening for 200 episodes in 4 years. And until next time, this is Nesbit signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
All hail, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. This is Dusty Squires chiming in to tell you about my brand new signature sticks from the London Drumstick Company. I've dreamt of having my very own drumsticks ever since I was a wee lad, and LDC made that a possibility for me. Founded in 2016 in London, England, the birthplace of heavy metal, the London Drumstick Company has trailblazed a path through the music industry and taken the drummer world by storm. When I met them for the first time, they knew their product was going to withstand the beatings of a Night Demon show. They took the time to work with me on getting everything just right. The balance and weight of my sticks are the same no matter what, and the durability is bar none the best I've ever had. I know my sticks will last through the set night after night. I'm truly honored to work with a company that caters to their players the way LDC does. Their innovation and attention to detail is what separates them from the rest of the stick makers out there. Their custom stick sleeves are unbelievable and really make the entire presentation complete. Wait until you see the design they came up with for me. It blew my mind and was a surprise to say the least. They have all kinds of amazing swag, including hoodies, t-shirts, drummer shorts, drum keys, stick bags, towels, face masks, practice pads, and much, much more. Even if you're not a drummer, you can be a part of Demon history and order my brand new signature sticks direct from their website. How cool is that? And to top it off, the London Drumstick Company are giving an exclusive offer to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners. Go to londondrumsticks.co.uk and receive a 15% store-wide discount using promo code DEMONSTICKS. All capital letters, no spaces, Demon Sticks. DEMONSTICKS. I can't thank everyone there enough for the opportunity to be a part of their family and for them trusting me with their amazing products. See you metal maniacs on the road very soon. And yes, the wood chips will be flying.
Greetings, boils and ghouls. This is your comrade, the Crypt Keeper here, reporting dead from the sanctuary of the strange. Tonight's macabre myth is a fright-filled feature, one overflowing with monsters, madness, and magic.
Visit our website at monstersmadnessandmagic.com to stay up to date on all the dark dealings within the sanctuary of the strange. Enjoy the show.
Hey Metalheads, I'm Mark and I host the Metal Forge. Let me tell you about the show. The Metal Forge features the best underground metal from all over the world. We spend every week with a different artist with interviews, in-depth conversations, and most of all, the music. We also feature audience interactivity where you can submit your questions to the upcoming guests. New episodes are out every Friday at noon Eastern Time at MetalForgeRadio.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Want to know what's going on in the world of music? Then tune in to the Nothing Shocking Podcast, a non-genre based, all-ages friendly rock and roll program. Join us weekly for interviews with all your favorite rock stars from the mainstream to the underground. You can find us at nothingshocking.libsyn.com or anywhere you download podcasts.
Okay, metalheads, you've been complaining that there has not been a channel that plays all of the heavy metal videos from past, present, and future for years and years at this point. Well, that time is over. Heavy Metal Television is back. HeavyMetalTelevision.net is the website. Go there. You can see videos playing 24/7, 365, all the time, all the best from the old school, the new school, and everything in between. Check it out, HeavyMetalTelevision.net. It is where the metal is.